at the Zacuto booth with Steve. Steve, you guys have always been known for some of the highest quality gear out there, and you're just bringing it up to another new level of quality with some of the new gear that I'm seeing today.
Well, first I want to say how you doing, and I'm really glad you're here. I told you that of all the coverage we had last year at NAB, your videos had the most amount of views.
Well, thanks.
So
and thank you guys for watching.
I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about what we got today. A year in the making. We worked with 5 different engineering companies to bring them all together to make this product for us. And the key feature obviously is the display. It's a micro OLED, 1024, no, it's 1280 by 1024. So and when you look inside here, you notice that the 16 by 9 area, that's 720p. Below it is all this extra area. And we had scopes in there. You notice there was a histogram, a waveform, and a vector scope. Although there's a million other features that you can put down there. And the thinking is that I'm tired of looking at an image that has all this stuff on top of it. It's hard enough to like really look at your scene and not have all that junk on there. So it was kind of nice looking at it that way, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What did you think of the sharpness?
I personally haven't seen an EVF that's performed like that. For me personally, sometimes using an EVF it's not 100% reliable. And I always like having a larger monitor. This is probably the first EVF that I've actually felt like I was looking at a larger monitor.
Yeah. Well, and the key is the OLED, obviously. You know, when you have LCD, when you look at this, what's happening is you have a backlight and it's lighting everything. So when you need those black areas that are black, they're still have light going through there, so they're kind of on the gray pasty side. With micro OLED, what you're getting is this has 5.5 million bulbs in there. And when a bulb is off, it's black. So it can actually reproduce black. That's why some of that sharpness is so intense, because you have the differences between black, gradations of gray, color, everything, you know, and the color rendition in this is life. You looked at it, you looked at that, and it is exactly that.
It seemed like the refresh rate was a lot better as well.
Oh, well, this doesn't have any lag. If you look in there and pan around, actually what you're noticing with this camera is the shutter. But there is no lag because it has a dual-core microprocessor in there that's FPGA based. Our old one was this Alpha whatever, I can't remember what it was called, but the FPGA is really a sort of open source platform that you can build anything on. And that was a key thing. We wanted to have enough power to be able to do so many things at once. And I'm going to just give you an example of the things you can do. So right now in this case, we're coming in HD SDI, but you can come in we're coming in HDMI, yeah. You can come in HD SDI and you can loop out HD SDI. If you come in HDMI, you can loop out HDMI and HD SDI. What you noticed in there was the camera is in S-Log right now. So what you're seeing here is a LUT that I've created that replicates life as best as I could, and I saved it as Steve 1. I can put it can save it inside, or I can put it out onto a flash drive. That flash drive can go into Resolve or on DaVinci and bring back that look from the C-Log.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing as a director that I really wanted that was hard to do because of the processing power. Not only, so I have this LUT created that has the histogram, the waveform, and the vector scope like I like it in here. Good, I'm happy. Or the operator's happy. The loop out goes to my tent where I'm sitting and watching the picture. I tell them I want a different LUT, or I want to look at the raw, or I only want to see the histogram and nothing else. It has 2 separate outputs, one to the unit and one that goes out to the world. And they can do totally different things. There's a menu for the world one, the loop out, and a menu for this one. That's kind of cool.
I mean, I've seen some of those features in monitors. I've never seen them in the EVF.
Well, they really don't even exist much in monitors. Where they are is like you got a guy in the tent with a gamma corrector, and he's doing all this with a lot of other equipment. Again, this isn't made for, this is made, I always sort of try to appeal to the one-man band kind of guy, smaller crew. Now, I did have Rodney Charters in here, and he's like, holy crap, that thing looked beautiful, and I'm going to be using that on my Alexa. Great, you know, they'll use it, but still, they probably won't use that feature. They'll have their tent with all their Technicolor gear and whatnot. So anyways, besides that, we made a few other changes. We decided, obviously, cables out the top because most people create a nest of stuff on the top. So that's what we did there. Here you can see we did an airy rosette mount, which is in that gives you a perfect twist here, right at the proper point. Not like the old ones where the thing goes like this, you know. You can also do the same thing with a 1/4-20 on the bottom if you want. Right now we're using it with our axis mount to get it where we need it, so in handheld mode it works. Runs on a 5D battery as before. This will power it for 3.5 hours, constant power. So if you turn the thing on and off, it might last all day. Otherwise, you keep this tiny little battery in your pocket. But you don't have to deal with powering the thing. Although we do have a battery eliminator that goes to a DTAP if you so choose to do that. All right, let's take a look at the rig here, which we'll do this really quick. So here we have our helmet and our new handle. One of the great features about this handle is we don't believe in hot shoes. So this little tie down thing that is the most annoying thing on the planet, you're smiling.
Yeah.
You know when you get it tightened and you literally can't get it undone?
Yep.
So here you pop it on here and we have a lever, look at this, that brings these jaws together.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, I love that. I love when you say stuff like that. Strength. I'm gonna lift up the whole camera and tripod with that.
That's cool.
This, do you know how heavy this is? 6-pound lens, 6-pound camera, and a whole tripod I lifted up on these jaws.
That's nice.
And it's like this. Boink. I don't have, you can't do that with the tie down. You can also go on the top. You can have two things on here simultaneously and the same button locks them up. The helmet allows you to mount our handle on here, and you can place rails and rods and all these things, but it's a real low profile thing. It's not annoying and eating up the whole camera, and it just lives there for life. And stuff comes off really fast. Obviously now that you have, like I said, this can pop off. You know, if you want to remove your handle, that can pop off. You know, you can't do that with tie downs. You know, when it goes in your case, it's the same profile it was before. Now we switch to the VCT. This was a tough one because I hated VCT in the 80s. But one of the issues with, you know, is that in our old system, the camera was jacked up about 4 inches with all the plates and whatnot.
Right.
Everybody wanted to have a 1¼ inch gap. So the only way to do this is where the shoulder pad base plate is 1. It does make for a nice kit because the kit is literally a VCT and a hand grip. That's it. Unique things about this VCT, it has a rod riser. Most VCTs, they put the rods here. If the rods started here, I can't even get a follow focus. I'm beyond the focus already. Yep. So we found a way to start the rods here. It has rods out the back if you want it, but the key feature is that I can loosen this, and you see how this red plate slides back? Yep. That's how you get balance. Nowadays, I'm going to show this is something that is the most, if you get one thing out of this talk, it's the most important thing is everything is about balance. You can see here, this is the center of this kit, and you have a 6-pound lens and a 6-pound camera. It goes right through here. That is the balance point nowadays. We're going to pull it off here. It goes on your shoulder. Totally balanced, man. I can hold this thing all day.
That is very comfortable.
Can you shoot with that all day?
That I could, yeah. That I could.
So comfortable, isn't it? And it's comfortable.
It's not overly bulking up the camera tripod when you go on there too. Because I hate having a giant rig that's balanced and then it's bulky to put on the camera tripod.
But it's the balance that's making this thing light for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got about a 16-pound package there, and yet it doesn't feel like 16 pounds because it's sitting directly on your shoulder. So here you can see balance point right on his shoulder. Now we got Tony working on our new Z18 tripod, and you can see what he's doing here. Look at as he's tilting, this eyepiece leveling is keeping the EVF exactly where it needs to be. This tripod is a carbon fiber legs, and it can take a 45-pound package. But it has some things that are necessary that have gone bye-bye, and you know that when you operate it, it's really nice having it back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like do a real, no, start up there, and then do a super fast down to this guy's foot, okay? All the way down there. Now look at where these EVFs are. They were level with him. How could you possibly do that move and have your eye in those EVFs? Now watch, go all the way back up there, fast. How could he do that? These EVFs are on your shoulder now.
It's even hard to do that with a monitor. It's, you know.
It is hard, but this is why Hollywood had eyepiece levelers.
Yeah, and I've never done a move this comfortably before.
Well, it's in motion now. The camera's part of you.
Yeah.
And the situation is that in order to get into a system like this, really you gotta, the only tripod I know that does this is the O'Connor. And I mean, it's a great tripod, don't get me wrong. But you know, you're looking at 15,000 and up for a tripod with this capacity, you know. Front box, pretty essential, man. When you take a lens off your camera, where are you putting it? Unless you got a crew, it's going on the floor. It's better to put it in a box. Plus, you need your grease pencils, you know, you need tape. You got a tape measure in here. You're gonna need these items when you're shooting. A slate if you're using it. So this is pretty much, it works on our axis. So for people that own our axis, you're halfway there. The tripod is gonna be released in about 3 months. It's approximately $3,500, which for a tripod that can handle a 45-pound package with a center spreader, carbon fiber legs, pretty good deal. The eyepiece leveling system adds about $400, and you're shooting a movie properly.
You got a nice range in here for being able to.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at this. This package on here is probably 30 pounds. You got 3 EVFs. We're only sitting here at number right in the middle. You know. Plus, you know, most of the time, like we have our tripod plate. This also gives you adjustment up here. But here, if you loosen, here, watch this. You see how the tripod stays there? Because it has a really nice spring system in here. This is your drag, this is your spring tension. So if it's balanced, that's how it's supposed to be. You know these ones where you let go and it goes wing back?
Yeah. So what made you decide to get into tripods?
Because we need to shoot properly, me and Jens, and we don't want to spend $18,000 on a tripod. We need a viable EVF. You know we're shooters, and we need a tripod that we can work in a fashion that we used to. See, we're used to this because in the old days we rented gear. Nobody owned gear. So when we'd rent our gear, this was normal. You get a dolly, you get which comes with a tripod leveler. So like in a dolly, you would sit here, and this whole thing would work, and your eye would be around here. It's what we used to call for operation behind the camera. So now with the Axis, you can be front or back. That's it. Zacuto 2014, man. That's what I got.
Well, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm doing your job for you, man. I mean, now you got to sell products.
Special thanks to our sponsors for making our NAB coverage possible.